So today's video is going to be more about the story than about the technique, because it's not going to be any real complicated technique that we're going through. And the story has to do with this piece of old barn board. A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine showed up at the door and she put that in my hands. And what this is a 100-year-old piece of wood from their family farm, from the barn on their family farm. The barn has fallen down, the property is not in the family anymore, and she got a hold of this and asked me to make a memory for her, a memento, something that they could remember the family farm with. And yeah, there's holes in it, there's nails in it, there's notches in it. She wants to keep all of that. So no sanding, no finishing, very rough project. She's mostly leaving it up to me. The two guidelines that she gave me is she wanted to keep the nails. So the one nail is going to be glued in place, sticking out. You know, maybe it'll be a place where you can hang some keys or something. And we're going to work on a little shelf for a sconce idea. That's what we're going to work with. So since I want to save the nails, I need to take them out and put them aside, because obviously you can't have them in there if you're going to work with the board. Save those. This is the main piece, so I can't afford to make any mistakes there, so I have some extra wood that I can use for practicing to sort of work out my design and work out the cuts that I want to do. So this was just sort of my first cut at a scrap piece, but I actually kind of liking it for a shelf. And then the other piece I marked and cut, and normally I would never cut like this. It's kind of an awkward way to do it, but this way the exposed part is all weathered. And I was sort of debating about 1 versus 2, but I think 2 supports will look a little bit nicer. So this is what I'm starting to look at, but I'm going to trim this piece down a bit. So this is old wood, and I've used the metal detector and I pulled out the nails, but I'm still not going to trust my best blade here. And I'm going to look for a much more humble blade that if I hit some grit or a nail, well, I won't cry. So the design is starting to come together very quickly. Like I said at the beginning, a fairly simple shelf. Now the next thing I want to do is deal with this shelf. So there's some cracks in here which we're going to leave because it's a rustic project, but I still want it to be reinforced. So the idea I had is that I'm going to drill some dowels through the edges of the board. I am just going to drill the dowels into the boards themselves, cut them flush, and then the shelf will be fastened from behind by screws when it's nicely placed on the brackets. One thing that I'm a little concerned of is there's a pretty prominent crack right down here, and it goes right through pretty much. Now, the board feels fairly strong, but there's just a little bit of flex there. So what I've decided I'm going to do is I've made up a thin piece of plywood here. And I'm going to place that here, and then I'm going to route out a shallow groove and glue this in. I'm not that concerned that there's going to be a lot of stress on this. It's just, you know, over time, if the wood might shift or move, I don't want anything that might cause it to snap. The nails are too long, so I'm going to cut them short so they don't poke out the back of the board after I glue them into place. So we're in the home stretch now. I've got all the pieces ready. I need to pick out exactly where I'm going to put the shelf, and then I'm going to use my combination square, and I'm going to draw a line across, center it, and then I'll drill through from the front, and then from behind I'll know exactly where the holes are, and I'll countersink them from behind And I'll do the same with these two supports, and then I can proceed with gluing and screwing that all together. And then the only thing after that will be putting the nails in place, and that will wrap up this barnboard project. In some ways, this is a rather challenging project, not because of complexity, but because I'm used to just making everything smooth and clean and right angled and silky and perfectly mating joints, and this whole business of rough barnboard is just, it's way outside my normal, I got the wrong size screw. It's just way outside what I normally do. So the final little touch is to put these nails back in the holes. And for that, I definitely want some epoxy, and I need some tape to keep it from running in. Of course, the trick is going to be to keep it from oozing all over the place. The trick here, of course, is you don't want it on the face of the wood. You just want it in the part that's going to be... Oh. Oh, shit. Backward. Okay. He's trying to tip on me. So what do you think? One rustic wall shelf sconce thing, complete with rusty nail out of it, made out of some 100-year-old barn wood with an interesting story. And it's always fun having a project that has a story behind it. So as always, I'd like to thank you for stopping by and spending some time in my shop. I hope you found something interesting and enjoyable, and we'll see you next time.